And he went to my mom, grabbed her shoulders like, Xavi is gonna survive. He can do it. I'm gonna jump there and I'm gonna survive to prove I have this power inside. Seriously, I cannot explain my true intentions, right? Because this is even too big for me to conceive right now. And I have gone through a process of 10 years. If we were talking 12 years ago, 2013. We are engineered and designed for success and conditioned and programmed for failure.
Okay, nice to have you on the show, Xavi. We met each other, how many years must have been? Maybe 5, I would say, right? Quite a while. Great to have you on the show. It's really an honor that you are sharing your very personal story. And I would say from all the people I've met on this amazing planet, you're the bravest, because I told you back then I would be too scared to do what you have done. So really amazing to have you on the show and to hear some of your wisdom.
Thank you so much, Marcel. It's a pleasure to be here with you and with your audience. Thank you for allowing me this space to express myself.
Let's start a little bit that the audience knows who you are and what's your gift and how you share it with the world.
Nice to meet you, everybody. My name is Xavi Gomez. I come from Barcelona, and I have had a very tough childhood, which I feel has helped me so much to develop that pure essence that I have inside, and I feel that we all have inside. The traumas that I have lived has helped me to see that the adversity cannot challenge that inner joy I have inside. And sometimes I have created the adversities myself in order to see that when I go through them, I am able to come stronger. And now I live in Finland, in the north of Europe, with my lovely daughter, my lovely wife. So we have a very good life now. So I have been able to, from very painful situation at the beginnings, now starting to go up, 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 and bigger also inside.
Mm. Tell us maybe a little bit, how was your upbringing, or what was the trauma you were, what was the trauma?
Thank you for the question. I feel that growing up with the challenges that I have at home, my grandmother was a prostitute, and I never met her. She died very early when my dad was a child. And my dad lived his life, his childhood, in the streets of Barcelona. They got lucky with my mother, and they started a family. My family was coming from a good house. And then together they created this family where I came from. And seeing that two worlds, right? One very correct, very lovely family, and the other one from a destroyed background, allowed me to see that we are all inside this pure expression of love. And even my father was very hurt. He was like this very big being, like he was full of love, and he was sharing that love with me. So I was able to see that even there is pain in the physical circumstances, there is also this love underneath, and that helped me to develop myself.
What would you say in retrospect? What made you who you are today? Was it the many circumstances of your life, or was it the turning point you're gonna share, or what made you who you are today?
That's a very good question. Thank you, Marcel. How I feel is that I have always had, as we all have, this consciousness inside of who I am. And there was a moment where I woke up into that consciousness, and I was very young back then. So I saw that my abilities, that I will talk a bit soon, were very big compared to the circumstances I was feeling, and they overwhelmed me back in the day. So then I chose to do that action that we will develop today that helped me to overcome the fear of death. And when I say this, I say it with the intention to make clear that I have always had this awareness of who I am. And then the circumstances of life allowed me to see it more and more. Until now, I'm very conscious of this consciousness. And I would say that a bit everything has helped me to get to this point of who I am.
Mm. Yeah, the topic of our conversation is like the two elements, which is one is the overcome the fear of death, and the second one maybe that the greatest fear we should have is our potential. And I once had the moment when I I was in trainings where I connected so much with my higher self and how big I am as an energy and human being. I had to run out of the house. I always say I kissed the divine of my biggest potential, and then I realized how that fear is also not real like all the fears. So it's really relating. Maybe you can share in your story. You kind of had to first overcome the fear of death, and in your case, in a radical way. It was 2013,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, 2013, very interesting year. Let me back up a little bit. 2010, 2009, I saw a vision of my father dying and the repercussions that that would have into my life. I saw very strongly my father can die in a few months, and then the effects that that would have in my life. Then, when my father passed away a few weeks, few months later, after I had this strong vision, that scared me because I felt like, okay, I have created this. I have strongly felt that vision, and now everything is happening according to what I envisioned. And then that fear of death was shared towards me, my mom in depression, my brother also broken. We were teenagers. And then seeing that potential of who I can become, that I can condense time and see what's going to happen if the circumstances follow the journey, then I saw, okay, what is the if you track any fear that people has, where does it go? And I saw, well, it's fear of death, fear of the death of the ego, the death of who we are as a humanity. And then as well it's connected with the fear of stepping up into a new human capacity. So then with those combined, I saw that, okay, if I can eliminate the fear of death, I can release the power I have inside. So following the idea that I can condense time, I can see what is the outcome if I do this, this, and this, because of the experience I had with my father passing away after imagining, after having the vision, I thought, okay, I know that if I jumped off that cliff, which is the highest cliff in my town, the cliff that everybody has been afraid, that growing up is like, oh, careful with that place. If I become a man by having a statement of, I'm gonna jump there and I'm gonna survive to prove I have this power inside. And let me do a little stop here saying that this is a very thin line between the wisdom that we are talking about and a little bit the delusional reality that we want to make maybe bring the awareness that this is a very dangerous thing, and we are
Yeah.
starting with that foundation. But let me finish with this point is that if I could see that reality that, okay, I jump here and I survive, and then make it happen, is not just an idea. There is this quote in the Bible that says, uh, faith without action is death. So I had this faith in me. I could create that reality. But then I thought I need to take action and to make it and prove it for myself. It was then when I awoken into this power, but at the same time I connected with the fear of, yeah.
Tell me to or the audience to understand. You had a vision that you're gonna jump and you survive, or was it more like an intuition that a guidance that if you jump, basically it sets you free and you will survive? What was where did this idea come from to jump in the first place?
So the idea came like very suddenly. One day that I was very overwhelmed with my reality, and I felt that I need to take action into transforming my life. Um, in that moment, I identified that jump with the liberation of that inner self that is who I really am, this extension of source, the extension of God that we are part of. And I knew that this will never die, this is eternal. But what happens if my body dies? Do I still live in that essence? Does the essence still exist? And then the jump was a way for me to see that that's who I really am, and this character and this body that I'm living is just an extension of that. And then if I can connect the two bridges, then I'm able to create a bridge between the spiritual world and the physical world.
I mean, when you shared the story back then, I mean, I am still, I love that so much. And as you shared, each story is personal. So we really, I want to remind the audience again, not that everybody has the same path for his liberation. In my way, it was a cancer. In other ways, it's a depression. In your way, is jumping off the cliff. Maybe you can bring us there. How was this? Was this planned? How did you execute it? Or did you just went there and can you recall the moment you were standing up there? How did it feel to stand up there and to think about to jump down?
So, as I mentioned earlier, I was able to sense if I take this, and this action, the outcome would be this. And then it's like a door opens in the reality. Excuse me. And then I was able to see that if I go through that door, I will be able to liberate myself, which means that if that door opens, there is like so limited time that I need to run through it. And it's like an opportunity in life, in this matrix of life open, and then I just run towards it, knowing that it's crazy, knowing that the society would see it as a suicide, that I would hurt all my family who I love so much and they don't deserve this. I knew that this is a really reckless thing. And at the same time, I knew that this can be my path of connecting with that deeper essence. And I didn't stand there on the place where I jumped. I just ran towards it, and I knew that okay, now it's time to fall, and I let myself fall with the weight of gravity.
Do you have memories from the fall, or what went through your head in that moment when you realized, oh, you have done it? Like that, was there a aha moment or anything you recall, or when
Yeah,
was the first
I
moment maybe
recall
you recall?
running towards there like an adventure. And I recall waking up in the hospital, like really hurt emotionally. I remember telling the nurse who came, it's like, hey, my heart is hurting, right? Emotionally,
Yeah.
for all the pain that I have caused for everybody who I love so much. That was very painful.
So the first moment you recall was in the hospital. You were how your body was in pieces, or how bad it was physically.
Physically it's like almost dying, Marcel. Is like all the parts cut, everything in little pieces almost. And then the doctors putting together, sending the message to my family, especially my mother, that Xavi will not survive. We have done whatever we can, but don't have hopes so high. And I remember especially the story that they told me about one man who was the father of my one of my good friends from the village. And he went to my mom, grabbed her shoulders like, Xavi is gonna survive. He can do it. And that attitude is when people can see that power within me. And there has been many people that they know that, okay, I'm a bit towards crazy, taking these actions.
Yeah.
And at the same time, people can sense this inner power I have. And that's exactly what I wanted to talk here. When I wake up in the hospital, I am like, I cannot tell anybody what I did. Like seriously, I cannot explain my true intentions, right? Because this is even too big for me to conceive right now. And I have gone through a process of 10 years. This is, we're talking 12 years ago, 2013, to understand what has been. I have now started writing a book about it, and it's going to be called A Leap of a Lifetime. And it talks about this leap of a lifetime that I did, but we are going to go a bit more towards every moment we can take this leap towards our dream. And it can be something as small as having a conversation with a good friend of ours that really transforms the way that we have to relate to the world. And sometimes we think like, okay, how are we, when we have these big ideas, how are we doing the laundry? How are we paying our bills? What is the mindset? And I like to think nowadays that we can take that spiritual mindset into any small practice that we have in order to bring meaning and connection and bring this essence into our daily lives. That doesn't need to be a cancer, doesn't need to be a big jump of a cliff in order to find that meaning. And that's for me the leap of a lifetime, a leap that we can take any moment, taking the guitar and singing, talking with a friend. Please, Marcel.
Yeah, no, I mean, I really get it. There is a book I mentioned to you I want to refer to. Is called Falling Upwards. We're going to link it in the description. It's really brilliant because it describes these two parts of life. First is outside motivated career, money, status, how I'm perceived. Then something happened, can be anything, and it doesn't need to be a very dramatic or let's say a radical experience we went through, and then the second part starts where you go inwards, and it's really authentic, and it makes a lot of sense once you arrive in that second phase. I just had a little wow moment because maybe many people, what would you say, many people who maybe commit suicide are going through a lot of the same thoughts you have. Being protected by the universe, confident they survive, and failed suicide attempt in many ways can be this way, the outcome you have experienced. But for the loved ones, it's beyond to understand. And then there
Yes.
did you tell them you wanted to suicide, or did you tell everybody you knew you were going to survive and you were protected? How was it for you?
Marcel, this is a very important point because there's going to be many people here listening this conversation who may have lost some son, daughter, friend, husband, any family person that they loved, person that they loved. And I want to here be very sensitive about this topic because I remember explaining one of my good friends here from Finland, and I explained that that was my intention. I jumped because I wanted to prove the power I have within me. And he said, yeah, I had also like a very good friend in high school, and he jumped off a high place for the same reason, but he didn't survive, right? And that's a
Yeah.
very sensitive thing. If we are thinking that, okay, how my jump could inspire others, the jump is a metaphor. This is
Yeah, yeah, I get it. I mean, I that's why I also wanted to bring up this topic. It's so delicate that many people don't want to touch it, and I love these stories because, as you know, Unfiltered Humankind, we should be able to talk about it. I know my neighbor, for example, in Switzerland, they helped their friend to jump off a bridge, and he didn't survive. He was just tired of life, and I mean, with all the respect, we don't know the journey of another soul. We barely can understand our journey. So I would
Yes.
really
I would like to
wish,
make a point about this very quickly.
yeah,
My aunt, she's a very spiritual, evolved person, and I remember that was the only person who was doing a bit of work, energetic for me to die. Actually, she was like, Xavi, people wants to bring you back, but if you choose to go, I will kind of like energetically help you to go. And then she received kind of this message saying that, Xavi, I understand what you try to do, and you have one opportunity in this life. Why do you want to give up this opportunity of being who you are and create this change in the world, in the people around you who can create a great life because you are there? Like, why do you want to give up this opportunity that you have by killing yourself? The risk is too high. That's why when somebody would ask me, how could I take a similar change of environment, change of reality that would allow me to have the same
yeah,
experience that you have? Always the thing that I recommend is like, hey, Marcel, and you're very good at that. Travel somewhere else. Go to Thailand, go to Switzerland, go to any place that awakens that personality that you really want to have in yourself. And I would say that I I'm still, let's say, dealing with the karma of hurting so many people around me, and
yeah.
that will be part of my journey of really transmuting that into positive. That's why these conversations are very valuable.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can only say how universe works in my opinion, and I say with all the respect that again the soul has his own journey, and I ask it sometimes people with cancer if they want to live, and I got always a yes, but energetically I could feel 6 months later they're gone, because again we don't know the path of this journey. Suicide for me is and I'm very open and frankly, suicide is for me very egoistic and energetically, from an energetic standpoint, very egoistic because it feels like to me it's the easiest thing to do is to run away from life. What's the ultimate? Okay, we end it earlier. And of course, it takes a great courage, like you showed. I would be too scared. I could never. co-
And I'm
I mean,
happy that we have that
out of
defense there.
today's consciousness, I could never ever do it
That's
because
amazing.
I would shit my pants.
But
You, yeah,
that defense mechanism is amazing, Marcel. And here we are talking about a counter life action, right? There is these transgressions that we can do energetically, like killing somebody is you're making this transgression towards somebody else. And the suicide is a huge of those. And I would really caution if there is somebody that is a bit sensitive listening this is a joke. I'm not bossy. I just have better ideas. I would never say that it's a good idea to do this. This is a real
yeah.
joke. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. No, no. I think that the people understand how we mean it. Is I I like what you shared that you can now see it in a positive way. What's your impact through that story? You can clean up this karma or that let's say it's egoistic in the first place because the doctor needed to put you together. Somebody had to pick you up there. You know, a lot of people were in shock. So you can I see it in a very always in a very positive way. For me, that's um, life has its own strange craziness, and I like it even more about it. Yeah. Can we go into this our greatest fear of our own potential? What's your advice for people to discover what's their true potential or really get out of this self-limiting belief? I shared if we would have the biggest crime on planet Earth is the suppression of potential. It's not war, it's not hunger and starvation. When you think about it, it's the suppression of potential. And it starts in kindergarten, family, school, society. How would you say how we can, through your transformation, how can each of us step up and be authentic? That would be nice if we support each other for the greatest of the potential we have and not suppress each other.
That's
What's
amazing
your thought
perspective,
there?
Marcel. Very good thought, and thank you for bringing it up because it's an issue that we are facing nowadays more and more. I like this quote so much from my mentor and guru, Kevin Trudeau. He says, "We are engineered and designed for success and conditioned and programmed for failure everywhere," right? There is this constant bombarding of conditioning for failure. And that goes from the physical reality towards more like who we really are as an essence. And I would say that one of the best advices that people can do nowadays is really like pick up like good motivation books. Nowadays, people don't read much, and it gives so big power to develop yourself towards a higher consciousness. When you have this material, these people is telling you, hey, think big in many ways. Think big in ways of the impact that you can have in the world, and think big as well in the lifestyle that you can create. Marcel, you are a great example of great business ventures, good success in the material world. And this concept of spiritual materialism is something I'm very interested lately on discovering because if we want to be spiritual people, we want to expand this consciousness, this greatness we have inside. Also, we could connect it a little bit with the fact that creating in the real world, not for possessing, not for ego, not for any of those examples, but to create and offer possibilities in people. I remember when we were doing a coaching session with you, Marcel, you really inspired me. And when I chose you, I had like maybe like 10 options as different coaches I could have gone through that program. And when I chose you, I felt that strong connection with you energetically, with the vision, with the business mindset. And I knew that you could help me and other people open doors towards a great success in life, spiritually. And that's, I feel, when we have the books, when we have people that allows us to expand, that's the key. And I want to extend this for the audience. Please send me a message in Instagram if I can inspire you in any way. It would be great to have you.
Yeah, I mean, look, we are like it's free flow already, and the flow for me is really key. And how I would describe flow, it's the ability to surrender to life. Because I always bring up the example with a screwdriver. If I'm a screwdriver slash tool, I don't need to know how to screw drive. I just know I'm a screwdriver, and universe will make me being that screwdriver that this whatever screw can go into the wall, for example. So I see it really, those stories like yours can be an inspiration that I think you jumped into life, or you jumped into trusting the divine that if you need to die, you die, and if not, you're gonna survive, and there will be the flow or the freedom you were. I think it was also a jump into freedom, the freedom of being truly who you are. You do it today with your music, with writing books, inspiring others. What's your thought there?
That's a
Because
very
the,
a good example
yeah,
with a screwdriver, right? If I'm a screwdriver, life is gonna allow me to create more of that. And I feel that and I happen to know that as a humanity, we have the power to choose which vibration do we want to create, right? A flower is emitting one vibration. I'm a flower. I grow or I die. I expand as a flower, and I happen to have
yeah,
learned that
we
as
are,
a humanity, we can choose what is the vibration that we want to broadcast. And it can be so wide spectrum, almost infinite. And with that, we have the power to create. We are creative beings.
yeah, I like it. There was a little bit the connection, but what you said, it's really that's why we are different to nature or animal beings, because we have this self-awareness or consciousness, and that gives us a lot of power because we can choose our role on this planet. We can have a miserable life. It's self-implied. Even under the worst circumstances, people have proven they can be at bliss and peace. You don't need to be rich. That's also, you can be anywhere and you can still have joy and bliss and contentment. And again, you have always a choice, and it's like in a split second.
Exactly, Marcela. Now, if we come back a little bit to the topic of today's podcast of the fear of death and how my life has helped me to overcome that fear of death, and there may be some people who are listening this podcast because they want to know also some answers with this fear of death. I would like to make a point towards the idea that the only thing that we should fear is fear itself, right? Because if we are living life with that fear, we are repelling the good things in life. If we remove and transform the fear towards gratitude, towards giving to others, towards that love and connection, we are allowing um, the universe, God, the source, to give us all the blessings in life. And there is many methods that fear can be removed, like there is energy blocks that can be removed with some high level people. What I'm trying to say is that for me, going through that facing fear has helped me to really detach myself, and that detachment is what allows the flow of reality towards a very good outcome where I'm creating a dream life.
Yeah. There was a question, I've been asked a question, if you overcome the fear of death, that you're gonna die earlier. And I was like, I had to laugh, because it could be that, yes, because I care less about the moment when I'm gonna die, I could be hit by a bus. But it's really in a humoristic way. I think as more as you let go the fear, as longer you're gonna live, because you can really focus on the who you are, on the essence, on the positivity, on being a soul model, as I call it. and not really so much on the negativity or what is holding us back. What's your thought there as a society? What's holding us back as a society? Why we are not yet there that everybody has overcome the fear of death and can be alive truly?
And that's very connected with the whole point of like creating that greatness and the full potential in our lives, because I love this quote with one as well, one of my mentors. He mentions that if you have this big thing to do in life, this bigger purpose, it's impossible to die. And I have also learned that many people who develop a disease, like cancer could be, or has an accident, is because they feel and they are denied in life. So the suggestion would be for transforming from fear of death, fear of living reality freely, is connecting more to your purpose. And that can start small. That's why my book is going to be called A Leap of a Lifetime. Leap of a Lifetime can be taken with little things like connecting with a friend, making music, whatever you like to do. And that purpose grows, 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 grows. And when that
Yeah.
purpose is at its peak, it's almost impossible to die. It's like you are blessed and surrounded. And that's where I came from, that idea of jumping. It's like, okay, am I really destined to create a great impact in life? If I am, hey, angels, hey, mentors, save me. God, save me, right? And that's very selfish to do. And I please ask, be careful with this. And that was my stand a little bit, yeah.
You know that fear, you said, and I agree, fear of the fear should be the only fear. And fear stands false expectation appear real. So it's always, I expect, and I hope the audience writes it down, false expectation appear real. What you expect, and usually it's not even real or close to real, but because you put so much emphasis and energy and time, they start to become real. Like people go through life, for example, I have I've met people, they think everybody is a gangster, and they get the most things stolen. And I go through life and I expect nobody is a gangster, nobody is a monster, and therefore I have very positive experiences. It doesn't mean that nothing gets stolen in my life, and I'm not, let's say, I'm not cautious of my stuff. I'm more like, I don't care if it happens, it happens. You know, I'm not walking through life with a constant fear somebody will steal my phone or I will end up in an accident, because I don't care. At the end, I really don't care.
And this, I feel this detachment of physical stuff, phone, whatever you want to call it. And then for me was the detachment of this physical stuff, right? That reality that, and when I detach from that is, hey, I'm free to create the best life I can imagine. Because if I have been in the bottom, I know that I can go to the top.
Yeah. No, beautiful. Also, the detachment I wanted to bring up earlier for me is like really that it's from the spiritual standpoint, it is nothing is permanent. In Buddhist, they call the impermanence. Everything is impermanent. So even the suffering, also that we have a body, we go to gym and make it very good looking. At the end, it will be eaten up by worms or burned in fire. So you can also make it so much more light or easy when you just acknowledge how. And I'm not saying it. I don't want to have a let's say, I always say, a well-maintained temple slash body. But at the end, it doesn't matter because it's all temporary, and we are definitely not here to suffer. Shall we? What's the conclusion for you? What do you want to give as a takeaway?
I like to give as a takeaway that when I made that choice, I was a kid. I was 18 years old. And that felt like an adventure I wanted to have. Instead of risking other relationship with people, I could kind of, I was a little bit like, hey, let's do whatever. And then I thought, okay, I take it on me. I hurt myself rather than hurt relationships, hurt other people in love. Whatever, right? I chose that. And now I'm matured. I have a daughter, I have a wife, I have a business, I have very good friends. And now with this maturity, I am much more aligned with my purpose. I can take weight of these abilities and the responsibility that comes with it. And now I'm using it for, hey, instead of destroying, let's create love, let's create connection. And I hope that the audience can live with that message, that when an action like this is taken, is because the person is very hurt. That it cannot be idolized and make like a hero story of this, even though my ego would like, hey, I jumped off the cliff and I survived. I remember, Marcel, we were in that coaching session when we met in Helsinki, and you just met with one of the business partners that you have for the real estate company, and you introduced me to your business partner, and you say, Xavi, jump off a cliff, and you were a bit excited, and he was like, wow, tell me your story. And I was like, hey, we cannot really take this as a heroic thing
As an
for us.
example, yeah.
You remember, right? And
Yes.
I would like that we ground it and make a heroic thing, go to the gym, make a heroic thing, have a family, friends, care about others, make a heroic thing, do what you care about and the passion and enjoying life, creating a good life.
I wanted, that's a really, really nice remark and giveaway because I wanted to say the same. Because to find out what's your gift and how you can share it with others, it can be a conversation I had with somebody in India. Bless him, he was a Qigong teacher, and I had a random conversation with him, half an hour. Can you believe, after 2 years running around the planet to find out what was my childhood drama, to develop cancer? So I found out in 30 minutes conversation with that random guy I felt really connected with, that it was a childhood drama manifesting in my cancer. So what I want to say, it can be that you talk to a stranger in a bus, which transforms your life. That's what I would love to give away.
Yes, that's lovely, Marcel, because having that intention of going to the bus, going to work, going to see your friend for a coffee, and expecting a miracle. Oh, that's a good life.
Yeah, or getting up every morning grateful for that you're still alive and that you have another amazing day on this planet. That would also be a game changer already. You don't need to do much more. Can we have a song for closing? You have,
Let's go.
it would be really nice.
This one is in Spanish. I hope you like it. Aprendí que amar es dar sin medida, quedarse sin fuerzas pero seguir con la vida. Ya no me importa el ruido ni la mirada ajena, tengo tu voz y eso me llena. Solté el miedo a no ser suficiente porque tú no miras como mira la gente. Tú me ves cansado, partido, sin calma y aún así corres y me abrazas con el alma. No vine al norte que me aplaudieran, vine a perder lo que otros no soltarían. Y al caer de pie en ese salto sincero me encontré contigo y toqué al cielo.